All right, so this video is going to be about journaling. It's not a video about me telling you how I personally journal. It's not even really a video to really meant to motivate you to journal. It's just me sort of using a video as a journaling tool instead of using what I usually use as a journaling tool. I don't know if any of this really makes sense, but usually when I journal, it doesn't really make sense anyway. So let's just go on and, I'll start word vomiting on this camera and we will kind of get going, right? Okay, cool. So when I talk about journaling, usually what I think of is you carry like a little notebook with you and you use it when you think of something, you write it down and you just compile all these mental notes, sort of like keeping a calendar and agenda, but not really like about dates or about plans. It's more about just what you have in your head. You want it to be on the page so you can read it and review it at a later date. And so that's what I think of when I think of journaling. I am not a pen and paper kind of guy. I like the digital stuff. I think it's easier for me if I make a mistake, I don't like erasing it. It's much easier to type for me. But I can't carry a computer everywhere. So for me, journaling, it's important to have something I can have on a mobile device and something that I can have on the computer, the desktop. So that kind of that link, so an app that can kind of link those. I've tried a lot of different phone apps. I can't really even think of any off the top of my head because there's so many out there, and a quick Google search you can probably find one that you want to try. But I think my thing with the phone apps is that nothing is really perfect, for me at least. There are a lot of paid for ones as well, and I don't know if I like paid because I think that I would have to conform to their system, and just I don't know, one less thing to pay for on a routine basis I feel like makes my life happier. So having this tool that I can constantly use that is easy for phone and computer. And I think what I like, the two apps that I use the most are Microsoft OneNote, and I also like to use Airtable. And so Microsoft OneNote is pretty much this kind of, you get all these different folders and you can kind of organize your thoughts by different categories. And maybe I'll make a video one time about like the Microsoft OneNotes notebooks that I have, but it's pretty easy to pick up. I like especially how you can link documents. I use that in Airtable as well, just being able to link documents, but OneNote is primarily what I use for just recording down thoughts and just long text documents. Anything from like my favorite quotes that I've like kind of compiled over the years. I do a lot of world building, so just different world building notes. Certain things that I find interesting that I've heard about, I might just write those down. It's just kind of like this giant stock of just things that I uh, just get in the habit of writing. And I like doing that, but it's not very organized. I try to keep it organized, but it inevitably gets to a point after a couple months where I just get tired of it and I want to start from scratch. So I create a new notebook, and I have dozens of these notebooks over the years, and it's kind of gets out of hand a little bit. And after I move on from a notebook, I rarely go back and check them. So it just starts adding up. Why I'm doing this kind of YouTube presentation, I haven't really experimented a whole lot with doing journaling on a camera. Um, I also don't really use voice memos that often. So I'm wondering if this would be a cool kind of medium in order to do journaling. So I guess that's why this is more of like me testing it more than me convincing you to do this. I don't think of myself as a qualified enough individual on journaling to really tell you how to live your life, but maybe this kind of video helps. I don't know. And then the other one was Airtable. Airtable is this kind of Excel spreadsheet used in a lot of project management, and it's just a lot of that like cell structure that you'd see in Excel, and you can kind of link different Excel spreadsheets to another. They have these different groups and different workspaces, and I recommend giving it a try if you if you like using Excel spreadsheets and stuff. It's very good for that kind of data management. And sometimes, especially in like world building or something, I like to have that data management. So it's you can like group different. There's a lot of different groupings and a lot of different ways of sorting, organizing information. And OneNote doesn't really have that like Excel spreadsheet function that works really well, where you can just kind of like click a button and it like auto sorts into all these different things. So those are the two main ones. It's kind of like using Excel and Word, but I use OneNote and Airtable, and both of those are easy to go onto your phone or your desktop. Seamless interaction with those. They kind of auto update sync. Um, but yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about journaling and just different uses of journaling. And I guess just my thoughts on them. So keeping a journal with me as a tool, we talked about that. Don't like the pen and paper, like the digital. Use those two apps, Airnote or yeah, Airtable and OneNote. Um, some uses include prompts and daily reflections. Um, I do enjoy these prompts and daily reflections kind of use case for journaling. Um, I don't know if I like doing them through apps though. I think I like those to be a little bit more conversation based. And one thing that I do, so like having another person really doing that with, but you can't always rely on someone else, or you don't always want to share things that are really personal with someone else. So, what I've used in the past sometimes instead of just like recording my own questions is like an AI chatbot, and I find that there's some out there like there's this one that called Replica that you can use to you kind of it kind of learns. It's an AI chatbot that learns about you, and so sometimes I've used AI chatbots like Replica to sort of have daily reflections, and I think it's even programmed in the chatbot. I think it kind of learns from like a psychiatrist or something standpoint, so it or like a therapist standpoint where it puts you kind of front and center. My thing with AI chatbots though, especially like this one, they can be a little bit too supportive, which I think is really good if you like, some people really need like that kind of thing in their life that's like almost like unconditional love. Um, I think that for me, it kind of feels a little bit fake sometimes when they're too supportive. I like a little bit of that, like, that realistic, like, there's two types of people sometimes, where the people who like that kind of like comfort, or people that like that this is what you need to do. And I think that a lot of times I'm this is what you need to do kind of person when I have a problem. I like it when uh someone like very like wiser than me, and I like, as soon as they start talking, they I just immediately respect their judgment, and I'm like, yeah, that you are totally right. That's what I need to do. Um, so a lot of the times, instead of journaling about these things, because I mean, sometimes it's good to write down your thoughts and see it on paper. But a lot of times, I like to just kind of look up answers to some of the questions I have, and seek help from experts online, which can be a problem if you look up the wrong information or the wrong sources. But I do think that it's very helpful for me to be humbled by people who are much more intelligent about things than I am, or people who are, they've created these videos that they're very passionate about and that I can learn a whole lot from. So that's why, I don't think that you should take this as me being an expert, because I'm not an expert. I like to look up experts. What else would I want to talk about? So we talked about keeping journaling as a tool. We talked about kind of prompts and daily reflections with the AI bots. Um, some people use journaling to kind of track their habits and their goals. That's another thing that I don't know if I like to journal for those reasons. Usually, I like to stick to one habit or one goal in my creative life at a time, but I always kind of flip flop. Like, for example, I don't want to write a book and make a video game and make a YouTube channel. So, like, right now, I just want to make a YouTube channel and focus my efforts and my creative energy on learning that process to make a YouTube channel. So that's in order to like keep a record of that. One thing I didn't really like doing in programming was like development logs, where like you'd program something, you'd say what you did that day. I'm really bad at doing that. I should probably try that more, but a lot of the times it's me working for hours and I just don't remember. But it would be good to kind of start to I guess record that information. This is why I kind of like this whole journaling word vomit mentality, because even then I didn't really plan on you know talking about needing a time to open up to do this kind of self-reflection in my after I do something creatively. So that's something that I can look back on in this video, or just kind of make another note to kind of recognize that I need to set aside some time to do a little bit more self-reflection. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if it does or not, but kind of makes sense to me. So I guess that's all that really matters in this one. Sorry about that, but and then I guess one other thing I wanted to talk about after the habits and goals was dealing with stress and anxiety when you do journaling. And I think that there are some times where I experience like stress and anxiety. It's not like on a regular basis. It's not something I can really predict. But every now and then you'll just get this like really bad day, and you just kind of like feel very unmotivated. And sometimes it's really good, in my experience, to write those feelings down and kind of reflect on them through something like journaling. The thing is that it's so inconsistent, these feelings, and so unpredictable that it's hard for me to use these same prompts that I would use for, say, like the daily reflections and have it be as a successful kind of answer to dealing with stress and anxiety. Sometimes it can be, but sometimes, it's just really hard and to really, I guess, recover from that kind of feeling. So I think it kind of, for me at least, it needs a bit more of like a focused approach. And by focused approach, I mean a bit more like attention, something that you can kind of diagnose on a case by case situation. I don't think that, at least for me, dealing with stress and anxiety is like a one size fits all kind of solution. I think there's a lot of helpful information out there. I don't think that I am, again, I don't think I'm qualified to really give you advice on how to deal with it. Um, it really is a case by case scenario with me. But if that is something that you're struggling with, I wish you the best with, resolving that. For me, I guess what I wanted to talk about mostly, just to nail the point home, is that I think that journaling can be a good use for stress and anxiety. I just don't know if there's a consistent approach to it. It's just a case by case situation for me. But yeah, usually when I want to do journaling, I want it to be about a page long. If I'm just kind of writing my thoughts. But I don't really make any hard rules for length. It's really just, when I feel like stopping, I stop. Um, don't want it to be perfect. Don't just want it to be on page so I can sit back and reflect. And so I think that we're approaching a pretty good stopping point. 15 minutes in about a minute is quite long enough. Don't want it to be too long because, yeah, then I won't ever watch it or read it. So, not sure if this is helpful, but I think it's good to just kind of vocalize what you're feeling sometimes. Sometimes writing can get a bit stale. You want to mix it up. So, this is me just mixing it up, and hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll catch you later. Later days.